What is going on, everybody? Talk about deja vu. I was literally just on here a couple hours ago with Sterling Bennett, but I am back with my regular season co-host, RSF 49ers or RSF 49ers Live, depending on what you want to call them. We're not going to BS. We're going to get right into what we were talking about off stream. Raj, what the hell is going on with Brandon Aiyuk?
It's
This is crazy.
it's absolutely madness. And I always talk about this. I mean, everybody's been talking about this situation. I don't think I've seen a situation like this in the NFL ever. Like, maybe similar stuff, but let's kind of recap what's going on. So we have Brandon Aiyuk and the 49ers. They're kind of like an impasse in negotiations, right? Brandon won a certain amount. They almost reached it, I guess, a couple months ago, but then the wide receiver market changed, and he's like, no, hold up. I want more money. I want to get paid like Amon-Ra. I think that's kind of where he wants. And Amon-Ra had guaranteed money in his third year. And we know how the 49ers do with these contracts. They kind of wait till last minute. Market changes. You got to, in Brandon Aiyuk's mind, say, hey, look, the market's changing. You need to pay me accordingly. And it doesn't look like the Niners are in that realm to do that. Or maybe it's a guaranteed money situation because Trent Williams has ran into guaranteed money situation and he's holding out. And other players, how they kind of kick the can back and the way they structure things, they put a lot of incentives. But anyways, that's kind of what was going on with Brandon Aiyuk. So then he said, trade me. Eventually it got to the point where he said, trade me because he wants to get paid. And Niners said, okay, they finally cracked. They were taking trades here and there, like offers, but never acted upon it today, or not today, but this week. They looks like they did make a trade, or they got close to it. They had the framework, and it ended up going as Brandon Aiyuk says, I don't want to go there. And apparently it was New England. And that's what the reports are today. And then Pittsburgh was out of it, but they're back in it because it looks like they are negotiating a little bit more towards what the Niners want. Cleveland is still in the mix, but we don't know what the heck's really going on. The big news today was, New England basically they pulled out, and it's not that they pulled out because Schefter had tweeted that out, right? But then right after that, Mayoko went over the top. Was like, no, that wasn't the full story. Brandon Aiyuk just didn't want to go there. And today the story got even crazier, Aaron, that the Patriots were willing to pay him $32 million a year. And he said no. Brandon Aiyuk said, no, that's career suicide. Drake May, I don't want to play there. So that's kind of where we're at. And now we're just refreshing our phone every minute. The analysts are saying that he's going to go somewhere, maybe Pittsburgh. And then you got other people saying, well, I don't know. It's up to Brandon Aiyuk. That's what Mayoko is saying. It's really up to him. He doesn't have a no trade clause, but it's like unofficially in there. And then you got these people that are just Twitter bandits, blue check marks, like Pretty Ricky, who's been calling this. And you got the real analysts throwing shade at these guys. But who's right? It's like a battle. It's like a 2024 breaking news battle. And it's crazy. It's captivating.
It's like the biggest online measuring contest in the history of measuring contest.
Yeah.
And everybody's saying they're the biggest and the baddest, and everybody's coming up short. What the heck? Oh my God. I didn't really think this was going to happen. I thought from talking to Sterling Bennett earlier, he made it sound like, the Niners just looked at this offseason as like every other offseason. They'll take their time with the contract, but they'll get it done maybe sometime around training camp, maybe a couple days into training camp. And this has gone completely backwards in every way possible. The Niners have been steadfast on their number, and they're not willing to move off of their number, as you've told me. And unfortunately, it's really crazy because, like, I see Brandon Aiyuk, and I think he's a really good player, but he ain't, like, market setting good, if you know what I mean. Like, there's Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams. Those guys are, like, top of the game, right? I don't consider Brandon Aiyuk that guy. And then you look at how they use him in this offense. They're pretty much paying him what they think that he's worth. He thinks he's worth more. His agent thinks he's worth more. And I kind of had a feeling that this might come this offseason just because, like, he's probably the purest wide receiver that they got in this team, but they have so many other weapons that are ahead of him. So, man,
it's tough though because okay, maybe he doesn't put up the stats other guys do because he's the fourth option. But then Ayuk's argument is, Okay, if I had multiple targets like CD, if I got the amount of targets, I'd probably put the same numbers. He was very efficient, right? Number 7 in receiving yards, 31st in receptions, targets, whatnot. He was the most efficient. He had the most yards per catch until the final game of the season. So he was like 1 or 2 basically through the whole season. So he's very good. He does the route tree. He's blocking better than probably any wide receiver. So he fits the Niners system. I'm not saying he's, because I gotta say Brandon Aiyuk's very good. They need him on this team. Like, I've watched every training camp game, and there are good receivers, but can they do what Brandon Aiyuk can do? Can they play the X? Can they go deep? Can they go middle? Can they, run those out routes? Can they do the breaking routes? Like, Brandon Aiyuk's very good. He's entering the prime of his career, so he's very talented. But is a wide receiver a make or break play? Is a wide receiver going to be the reason you win or lose a Super Bowl? It's hard for me to sit there and say $30 million because you are that good. Without you, we can't win a Super Bowl because there's a lot. Wide receivers can't be replaced. Now, Brandon Aiyuk, a very good one. It's going to be very difficult to replace him. Like, for example, Patriots, if they would have gave us Kendrick Bourne, he's not replacing Brandon Aiyuk's production. Now, if the Browns gave us Amari Cooper, he'd get close because he put up very similar numbers to Brandon Aiyuk, and he had multiple quarterbacks thrown to him last year. And he's a very good route runner. Got good hands. He's a good player. And on Brandon Aiyuk's argument is, okay, if you go to one of these teams, you're going to get double, triple team. Can you continue to put up those numbers? Even though you're getting those targets, can you be consistent? So there's arguments to be made on both sides. Now, Brandon Aiyuk had the opportunity in New England. I mean, no, they don't have anybody out there really in terms of weapons. He would have got like 300 targets. But then to his argument is Drake May's throwing the ball. Who the hell is Drake May? Rookie. So I can see why Brandon Aiyuk turned that down. Although $32 million, Aaron, he turned down 32, allegedly, $32 million. Shit.
It's like he wants his cake and he wants to eat it too. It's like, you got to make a choice, brother. Like, work, paid less, get paid less, stay with the Niners, have a chance to win every year, go to New England, get your money, and your season's over in early November.
In October.
Yeah, it's over. You're not going anywhere. You have a nice long off season. If you like hanging out in the off season. Yeah. Real quick, Christine Workman. I think Christine is the one who got me the Purdy jersey in the off season. I'm not 100% sure. Or during the end of the season last year, I think it is you, Christine. She says, no matter what we need, we need to pay, like she says, we need to pay Trent. Like, and I 100% agree. I actually think Trent's more worth it than Brandon Aiyuk because Trent is 1 of 1 on this team. Like, without Trent, our offensive line is below average.
Cheeks.
Yeah, it's bad. It's
bad. Really Jalen Moore as starting left tackle. Stop it.
Colt McKivitz, your right tackle, and a smattering of guys at right guard. Although Pooney seems like the guy a lot of people are talking about.
He seems good. I don't want to oversell it because people are like, oh, it's rookie. It's training camp. Okay, let's keep it a buck here. It's training camp. He looked good. He was very consistent, and I was one of the people that said he was really good at training camp. But you got to slow it down a little. He's not a world beater yet. He has to go in there preseason, but he's looked very consistent. Looks like he's, pulling right. He's holding his blocks. I will say he was probably the most consistent rookie, but I don't know if he's going to be starting caliber right away. Again, they have a couple other linemen, guards. You hope Pooney's ready to be that like really strong anchor at right guard, but I don't know. Again, it's still early, but I do have high hopes for the guy. But Trent Williams is definitely needed, Aaron. He's the key. He's a big piece of why the 49ers offense works. Run game. He's such a good blocker. The run game. He's a great pass protector. He just throws people. But the thing is, he's 36. I know he wants guaranteed money. That's the big issue. I still think you have to get the Brandon Aiyuk deal done before you get Trent Williams. And I'm not saying that Brandon Aiyuk's more of a priority. You've already inflamed the situation. You've already pissed them off enough. If he is going to stay with the Niners, and then you pay another guy ahead of him, you've been working on this deal since February, March, and then he sees Trent Williams, who all of a sudden, once training camp started, I want to get more guaranteed money. This is like, what, a month? You pay him before you pay Brandon, who you've been working for like 7 months with? I'd be a little pissed off if I would. And I think at that point, you have fractured it beyond repair, the relationship. So I think you need to pay Brandon or figure that out before Trent Williams. I think Trent Williams will get paid. I think they know what his value is. But I think you got to get Brandon Aiyuk's situation resolved first. That's my take on it.
Debtopia says, and I don't know if I agree with this, but She says that BA is pulling all the childish behavior, such a diva. Do you think he's being a diva right now?
I think he's being a little irrational. I know, I get it. This is his first contract extension
Right.
Ever, so it's difficult. I think it's just a very hard situation for him, and I don't know if he's mentally been really coming to grips, because he does have generational money being offered to him with New England. It's like, it must have been tough to turn down 32 million, because he knows it's the better career move to stay with the Niners. But he also is like, well, I want my guaranteed money in my year 3. I want my money closer to what I feel is my value. He's got pride, It's like they say, it's pride effing with you. Pride is there, and that's a big factor. It's like Brandon Aiyuk doesn't want to short sell himself. And again, in the NFL, guaranteed money, that's what matters, because they got one career. You get a few extensions, few big contracts, make the most of it. So I get that. I think the way he's kind of acted over the last several weeks, and it's ramped up, it's been a little childish. Like, for him to, not have no trade clause, and the 49ers said, oh, do you want us to trade you? And he said, yeah, okay, the trade request accepted, or whatever. He asked for a trade. They find a trade partner, and then he says no. It's like, okay, dude, are you playing games with us? Are you being childish? We found a trade. Like, if you're a good player and you're on the trade block, not a lot of other good teams are going to be able to afford you or give up a package, because that's how good teams stay good. They have a lot of draft picks. They know how to draft well, or they have star players. Bad teams, they don't have talent. So they need to get some talent. And a lot of times in these cases, you're going to a bad team, and, you become the face of their franchise. So it's a weird situation. I think it's awkward. My biggest concern, Aaron, and I'll ask you, is how do you think the locker room is going to take this? Do you think it's going to be like whatever? Do you think that everybody's going to be all right, cool? Because Diva was talking about it. He says, my brother, no matter what today, he says, we're dogs. We talk about stuff, even, not about the contract stuff that's going on. But do you feel like everybody's going to be like that? Because we know Debo and Aiyuk, they're like boys, bro. They're wide receivers. They know everything. This is kind of similar territory for them. Or do you think there's going to be some people that are kind of jaded? Do you think they might be pissed off? It might be a weird vibe coming back because you said trade me, and then you said no, then the money is this. Because I know Kyle Juszczyk a few weeks ago talked about his contract. He was pissed that he had to take a pay cut. So what do you think? What's your take on all that?
We might not find out till next offseason when Purdy gets paid how people really think. Because there might be some angry people who'll be like, oh, you got all that money ready for the quarterback, Mr. Last pick in the draft, but you're not going to give it to one of your best skilled position players. It's hard to say. I mean, he hasn't been a headache since he's been here. He blocks. He's a great route runner. He doesn't get hurt. He's all team first all the time. So in a way, he does a lot of stuff that you would think means that he should get a huge contract and they should reward him for all of his, loyalty and hard work and stuff. But unfortunately, the Niners are in the midst of this like window that everybody talks about, and you can't keep everybody. And if you do keep people, some people got to take less in order for you to keep this thing together. If this was the NBA, he would have been gone, because he would have been like, I don't care about my career. I just want to get paid. Because if you notice in the NBA, none of those cats care about where they play. They just want to get money.
Yeah, like James Harden. That guy is notorious. He says, all right, screw it. I'm out of here. Send me to the next team. I'm going to get paid max money. That's what they do.
They get these max contracts in the NBA. I feel for both sides. I feel that the Niners have a certain number that they got him at, and they're not going to move off of it because they have so many other players on offense that they have to get the ball to. You can't pay everybody top dollar. Just they can't. Like, there's no other reason other than they can't, right? Plus, you got a guy like Diamador Lenore, who everyone says is coming into his own in training camp. He might need to get paid next year. If you let go of a guy like Aiyuk, you might be able to keep a guy like Charvarius Ward. And then Brock Purdy's money is going to come up next year. So, I mean, I don't know.
Trey Greenlaw has a contract coming up. Aaron Banks, Talanoa Hufanga. I mean, will all those guys be back? I don't know, man. You're gonna have to let go.
I don't know if these guys would fracture. I think John and Kyle have a pretty good grasp of that team in that locker room, especially John Lynch, being that he played. I don't sense a team that will fracture. They'll look at it as a business, and they have their opportunities. They've been to 2 Super Bowls. They haven't been able to get it done. It's not like they haven't. All these players haven't done their damnedest to get this thing, and win this thing. But That's part of the business. It's unfortunate because with these so-called windows, eventually they're going to close, right? And then like guys are going to leave, and like it's going to change, and it'll never be quite the way it was. And then like you could say like, man, that one team was so close, but they never could get it done. And then who knows, maybe we get progressively worse. So, and usually how those things go is little by little pieces of that team start to come off. Like Aiyuk leaves, or this other Kittle retires, or Kittle, the Niners let him go because they don't think he's worth the money, or Debo, they don't let him go. They're going to let him go because they think he's injury prone and not worth the contract and stuff. Like little by little, all these things start to happen. And then this team is no longer that team, that window. So like, it sucks. I really feel, I just wish the Niners, I wish we had a bottom of the salary cap like they do in baseball, so to speak, where you could just pay everybody everything and be fine with it. But unfortunately, in football, we have a salary cap. I think this team won't be fractured. I just don't see it.
Okay. I like that. I mean, it's definitely a strong team, a strong unit, a lot of highly paid players. So I kind of feel like that you're right in the sense of a lot of these players have been through the same situation that Aiyuk's had. Like, the star players, Bosa, Kittle, Warner, Debo, Trent Williams, CMC, like all these guys, Juice, they go through this situation where every year it's their turn to get paid. And they know it, and they know it's frustrating. Like Bosa was talking about it. He goes, man, I really liked Bosa's press conference yesterday. He was like, man, it's just tough. I understand what he's going through. Last year, Bosa said he thought he was going to get traded last year. He just didn't see like a resolution coming in. We remember how crazy that situation got. Like, I don't remember them pushing the way this is going, like in terms of reports. And I even went back, like there wasn't a lot of reports of saying, oh, they're going to trade Nick Bosa. They're going to trade Nick Bosa. It was just like, is he going to reach a deal? Is he going to hold out? Is he not going to play this season? And this year, though, the story is they're going to trade Brandon Aiyuk. So I feel like maybe internally or behind the scenes, Nick Bosa was hearing what we're hearing with Brandon Aiyuk this year, but they didn't throw that out to the media. Like, this is coming to the forefront. So last year, and it's kind of crazy to hear that Nick Bosa was like, yo, they were going to trade me last year. And I was like, what the heck? I didn't think it was going to happen. And now we're seeing that it's close to being traded to Brandon Aiyuk because we don't always see all the stuff behind the scenes. So it's crazy. Maybe the same stuff was going on with Bosa last year and we didn't know it. They did a good job of keeping it under wraps. And that's another thing is this year, a lot of information's coming out, and I feel like the 49ers, and they always say the 49ers don't leak, whatever. There's a lot of information coming out over these last couple of days. So I don't know. Maybe the 49ers are like, hey, we got to take a different tactic this year and throw pressure on Aiyuk because he's not budging from his number. We don't want to budge. We got to force him to budge. At some point, someone has to make the first budge. They got to crack, and both sides are just standing on business like crazy. Like nobody wants to start coming closer to the middle. And the 49ers, they're saying, fuck it, we're going to leak your information. Hey, guess what? Patriots are going to give you 32. Hey, guess what? He said no to the deal. Hey, guess what? He could be traded, but he's saying no because that was Mayoko came out and dropped all that news. I was like, this is kind of information that never gets leaked out to the public. This Mayoko was making a firm stance. When yesterday, I see Adam Schefter when he tweeted out that New England they backed out of the deal. They're not going to do it. A minute later, you have Mayoko quote tweet that shit. He goes, actually, Brandon Aiyuk said. So it's like, whoa. Make sure you're getting the story right. It's kind of crazy, dude. It's kind of crazy.
I've never seen this much mudslinging, so to speak, ever in a contract negotiation. There was the rumors last year about Bosa possibly being traded, but there's no way
you very small. It was very, very minute compared to the Aiyuk.
I hate to say this, and I don't want to come off like a BA hater. BA ain't the level of what Bosa is when it comes to how his importance is on this team. Yeah. Like Nick Bosa is like a 1A player. I'm sorry. Brandon Aiyuk, he's our top receiver if you want to go just based on position. But in the pecking order of who gets the ball, he's like fourth, right?
Yeah, but I think that changes in a year or two because here's the thing.
Right, when other people like Christian McCaffrey, get a little long in the tooth or Debo leaves.
Yeah, Debo Kittle may not be here for too long, and then BA is going to go up. He's 26. By the time he's 30, he'll probably be number 1 or 2 option. But that's if he wants to stick around. I think he needs to play the long game with the Niners, but he wants to get that gratification and get that money. Although it's not necessarily about the money. he wants to be in a good position. Because one thing, I was going back last night, and the one thing that he said during his goodbye message, after the season, he said that they asked him, the reporter asked him, and I remember he had the hoodie on, dark glasses. He was acting a little emo. He's in the corner. And I go, what's it going to take to stay? What do you want? What do you want this offseason? He goes, I want to be playing for a championship. I want to win a contender. And I want to go to a contender. That's what he wants. He wants to be on a championship caliber team. That's the 49ers. So I think ultimately he wants to stay with the Niners. But I think it's for the right price, which is take $2 million less to me is not that big when you're making that much money. Like $2 million
Right.
is substantial.
Especially if they can figure out a way to give you more in your guarantees.
Yeah, but I think that it comes back to that in the terms of after the first 2 years, he wants to make sure he's still getting good guaranteed money because you know how they, like you said, they make these deals so it might benefit the team in the long run.
Your phone's getting blown up right now.
I know.
J.D. Durham says that the Niners, it's this year or never, and then a rebuild. I don't think there's going to be a full-on rebuild. They're still too good. They still have a lot of talent. They have to hit in the next upcoming couple of drafts. They have to, there's a lot of talk about the secondary looking really strong in camp, like the safeties, cornerback kind of looks like a strong position.
Yeah.
Could D Winners be something like all those things? You want to hear that because eventually certain guys age out and you got to replace them and you got to keep this thing going. I feel like as long as Brock Purdy's a quarterback and as long as Kyle and John are in charge of this thing or someone related to those guys, maybe John goes and someone that John trusts comes in and kind of runs it the same. I think they'll always be competitive. If this thing gets turned on its head and everybody's out the door, somebody comes in and is like, I don't want Brock Purdy as my quarterback, then I could see a full-on rebuild. But I don't see that yet. Yeah. I don't think it'll be a full-on rebuild.
I agree.
There's a lot of interesting comments. Where the hell is, he said, we drafted freaking Parasol and now he's looking like he's soft, like he can't get through games and stuff.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about Pearsall in terms of.
Me too.
Can he? Is he durable? Like he looks good out there. Like he looks very polished. He's like a Ferrari, man. He's you don't want to take him out too much, but when you do, it's like, woo, you got something special. But he's had 2 camp injuries. He had the hamstring. He's got the shoulder tweak, and the shoulder tweak was related to OTAs. When remember he was wearing that blue non-contact jersey. So he's been kind of under the wraps, a little bubble wrap type guy. But he's good, man. But he's kind of skinny framed. I think eventually he can put on weight, obviously, but, in the NFL weight room, this is his first year. I'm just worried that if he takes all these hits, will he be able to last through a full season? Because the way the Niners utilized him in training camp was contested catches, over the middle, in traffic, return game. If those are the things he's doing in the season, he's going to take a beating, man. And can he hold through? I don't know. I like him, but he needs to stay steady, man.
Claymore Customs says, I have a feeling Pearsall is going to be soft and injured all the time.
I hope not, man.
Please, you know what, Claymore? I feel you because I'm not going to lie. I'm getting a little bit of a Dante Pettis vibe from this guy.
Ooh.
Not in the sense that he's like afraid to go over the middle.
No, he's not. He's not.
Or that he lacks skill. There's just this, like the Niners are so enamored by him and you see all this tape and his movements and you're like, oh yeah. And then he gets on the field and he can never stay on the field. That's kind of where I'm at with that. That's why it kind of has a little bit of a Dante Pettis feel.
Maybe more so Jalen Hurd than
Jalen Hurd. Yeah, we'll go Jalen Hurd
because he's tough, man. Dante Pettis was alligator on. He didn't want those contested catches. Ricky Pearsall, he wants the catches. He wants to be good. Sometimes he's like an overachiever. Like he's overworking sometimes, but I think it's just, can his body withstand the hits? Because he's a skinny frame guy, and these guys plowing you over the middle. When you go over the middle, you take a lot of contact. That's what happened to Debo in his first few. Like he was getting trashed over the middle, but Kyle needs that slot guy that can go slant and go, boom. I'm going to go right over the middle. Drag over the middle. And Kyle wants that guy, and Pearsall is that guy. But can he take a beating? Imagine like a safety, Buda Baker, coming out Here comes Pearsall, boom, slant and go. And Buddha like smashes him over the middle. Can he hold up? It's a legit concern.
SF Flood says you're Dante Pettis' biggest fan.
Nah, man, don't.
Nobody
Let's
is.
not compare him to Dante. That's disrespectful.
We'll talk a little bit about these training camp injuries, man. Everybody's dinged up. Pearsall, Debo got dinged up. Warner's
good.
dinged
Debo's
up.
good. Debo's good. Debo's good.
I said this to Sterling and someone in the chat even before the stream. Someone on Twitter said this. This is getting a very 2020 vibe this off season. Just like bitter loss. Now people want to get paid. People are hurt. It just right now the vibe going into the 2024 season, right now, as of August 7th, 2024, the vibe is really bad. 49er fans are kind of in a bad headspace. You thought the losing of the Super Bowl was bad. Well, now we have all this going on. Everybody's worried about the training camp injuries and, the Brandon Aiyuk and all this other stuff. So I don't know. What's your take on all the camp injuries? You've been to pretty much every day at camp, right?
Yeah, I went to every camp. It was awesome. Appreciate everybody that was there and all the people that supported the content. So yeah, it was definitely always a good time to go to training camp. I'm actually sad now. I'm getting like post-training camp depression. So now I got to snap back to reality, work my real job and all that stuff. It was fun, man. It was good. But I saw training camp every day. Yeah, I'm a little worried about these injuries. I know it happens every year, and it's just kind of guys getting back into shape, the conditioning, but it's definitely starting off on a bad note. Yesterday, Kyle debriefed us, and he gave us Christian McCaffrey, calf strain. Now, maybe that's just a calf strain, so he doesn't have to worry about, getting through preseason and stuff. We don't want to risk injury to your Cadillac, right, to CMC. Ricky Pearsall, we talked about that. Not happy about him tweaking the shoulder. A lot of hamstring injuries. I saw so many hamstring injuries through training camp. Jacob Cowling, Isaac Orendo, who I think is going to be on the IR when the season starts. You had Darrell Luter was dealing with the hamstring. He came back today, but it's just these soft tissue issues, and I was a little irritated with it. Hopefully everybody holds up and they can come back. It's just right now it's minor. You want to make sure you nib it in the butt. Be safe. Take cautious right now because it doesn't matter right now. You're just trying to get your condition up. So in a way, like part of me is like, okay, it's okay. It wasn't like a major injury. Nobody torn an ACL or anything, knock on wood. But these little injuries can nag and linger throughout the season. But right now, I wasn't too worried, but it was irritating seeing like players missing time, missing practice. Elijah Mitchell, he's good for an injury. He got injured the other day. He brought in Matt Breida because of it. But I don't know, man.
Another guy that gets injured all the time.
But he knows the
system. Come on already.
You had to replace him with someone that knows the system real quick. If there's anybody that could come in right away and pick it up, it's Matt Breida. So, I mean, he'll be good for the preseason, and get us through the next couple of weeks. And then once the season starts, just hope that everybody's healthy. The good news is Hufanga is expected to come back in a week or so. That's what Kyle said a while back. So the other guy I'm a little worried about is Dre Greenlaw. When's he going to come back? You can't rush him. But I will say,
I'm not even counting him this season, to be honest with you. I'm hoping someone steps up in camp like a D Winters.
D Winters. I'm going to tell you, the first few days at training camp, I was like, okay, he stood out here and there. But this last week, dude, every single day, he was linebacker 3. He played Sam linebacker every day with the first teams. He was stuffing people, stuffing Mason. He was stuffing everybody. There was a play where he got in CMC's face, got him on a one-on-one. D Winters, he's special. He's good, man. I tweeted out today. I was like, he was probably like the biggest riser in camp, actually. Like in terms of players that, improve their stock and I think could have a breakout season. It's D Winters, man. This guy looks so good. 49ers know how to deal with linebackers. They know how to bring these guys up.
Johnny Holland.
He's the next guy.
To me, it's what was I going to say? There's 3 players that I'm concerned about for injuries.
Okay.
Debo, CMC, and Pearsall, because they're all super vital for the offense.
What about George Kittle?
Is he hurt too?
No, he's not. I'm saying, what if he does? I'm saying if he gets
hurt, he's down to miss like 4 games this year. That's usual for him.
The rest of these tight ends are dog water.
I've heard the same thing from Sterling Bennett. He said this tight end group is poopy.
So bad. Nobody stands out on a consistent basis. Like one day, some guy's okay, and then the next day, like today, Jake Tongs, he was good, but I hadn't seen him much from him the other days. Mason Peline made some decent plays today, but nobody's standing out. The guy we got from Washington, the free agent Logan Thomas, the guy didn't even play during training camp. I saw him on the sidelines, like rehabbing the whole training camp.
And that was the big thing, him coming in here, is he was hurt all the time. Jeez.
Fuck, man.
Retire, man. Get the hell out of here.
Honestly, the best tight end too was probably Eric Sauber.
I've heard that, and Braden Willis.
Braden Willis had some, tight end 3, probably Braden Willis, maybe Jake Tongs. I don't know, but you know who's dog water, like really bad? Cameron Latu. Woo!
I've heard that he's. Sterling said that they should have switched. They should have picked Latu in the 7th and Willis in the 3rd. Do you agree on that assessment?
I absolutely agree. Yeah, absolutely agree. I don't know how Kyle saw him as a 3rd-round pick. We wasted that pick.
Kyle just needs to stay away from the draft board. I'm sorry.
3rd round, don't let him pick. He's good at
they
the
need
late
to somehow figure out how to switch the people that do the scouting for the early rounds and the late rounds. Switch them around in this coming draft.
Yeah, right.
This is, I mean, we were talking earlier about if the Niners were a bad team and didn't make the playoffs with all these like draft misses, how John and Kyle would be out of a job. They are protected by 2 things. 2, because they got, they've been winning. And the other one is like they've hit on a lot of late round picks that have saved their ass. Mm-hmm. Because if you went based on just like the early round stuff in this regime, it's been pretty bad.
Like, dude, another guy that's probably not going to play this year, Drake Jackson. Fuck, man. He didn't make it through training camp because the injury, the knee, he had surgery. He's probably going to start on the injured reserve or PUP list to start the year.
We talked about it last year, and Bashar, we talked about it. We said he got those 3 sacks. I said, watch him not get any more sacks the rest of the season. And everyone's like, oh, don't say that.
I remember guy was leading. I remember first week, I was like, oh, my God, Drake Jackson. People were calling him Drake Saxon. Oh, my God. Oh, he's leading the NFL. I think I tweeted. I was like, oh, my God, Drake Jackson leading the NFL in sacks. Bro, we didn't hear from him after that. Did he? He got 3 sacks.
Out. He was like, I'm good for this season. I got 3 sacks.
He got 3 sacks and cooked his knee up, bro. That's what happened. He crashed out.
All this talk about, oh, he's got bend. He's got bend. He can get around the corner. He's kind of, he's played a little heavy. They had him playing a lot of stuff in college, and he hasn't really been able to hone one position. But he can bend. Yeah, he bends all right. Bends right onto the freaking bench and sits down.
Someone said he's the next coming to Aldon Smith.
Oh yeah, okay.
I like him.
His body composition is the same as Aldon. He's people. Aldon Smith was like.
Drake is such a good guy, and that's the thing. It sucks because I really like him, but some guys they can't stay healthy. It's like Kinlaw. Kinlaw couldn't stay healthy. This guy can't stay healthy, man. And
Kinlaw talked a lot too for a guy that can never stay on the field. Always running his yapper.
Professional at Japanese, I heard. So
he was like a poor man's he reminded me of like a poor man's freaking Warren Sapp. Talk all that jive.
Homeless Warren Sapp. Homeless man's homeless.
Who chews with his mouth open and goes after reporters that are a quarter of his size. Let's talk about this. Our DBs. I think our DB room is, from what a lot of people are saying, especially Diamador Lenore. They're saying Diamador Lenore is coming into what has a chance, if he's healthy and has a good year, that he could start to be in the conversation of being one of those more upper echelon corners. Mm-hmm. What's your take on that?
Yeah, Demo, honest, I tweeted out because he, to me, was the best defensive player in training camp consistently on a daily basis. He made so many big plays. He was everywhere. He gave a lot of receivers fits. He had some picks. He had like a pick 6 on Purdy. I don't know how many picks he had on Purdy, but he had a lot on his ass. He was good. I honestly think, this year he could become a top-tier cornerback, top 10. He's a contract year, so he's going to play his ass off. This is the thing, because him and Mooney Ward, 2 really good corners, they're a good duo. I don't think you can pay both of them next year. You're going to pay one of them, and Diamond Lenore is younger. Probably could get him for cheaper than you're going to, pay Mooney, who's been an All-Pro now, and he's at that higher end of the scale. I think the 49ers are banking on Diamond Lenore, who can probably you throw him in the slot. He's got versatility, and if you put him in the slot, the Niners can actually pay him less because how they know how to work the politics there. So I think Diamond Lenore contract year, he's the guy that they're going to bring back and pay him, a pretty decent bump in salary. And I think next year Mooney Ward might be out, and that's why they started to get a lot of these corners. Renardo Green looks good.
I was asking, there's a lot of positive talk about Renardo Green and Yidom.
Yidom looks good. He'll be a 1 year, 2 year kind of guy. But I think next year they got to go have like a big time corner, because if they let Mooney Ward go, you need to make sure you get a money corner, because then Lenore's going to be that other guy that you have, and then you let Mooney, if they do. I want them to bring back Mooney Ward, but if you don't, you need to get like a top echelon corner, and then you got a guy like Renardo who could play the slot next year. They got some other guys. Luter, I wish he was healthy. That's the one thing. 2 years in a row dealing with the hamstring, man. Maybe he's cooked out with the knee. It's not good. Womack, I like him, but I just don't see him more than a special teamer or a backup in the slot. He's good, but just doesn't get enough consistency. Maybe he'll kill it in training camp or preseason. So, but they do have depth there. One guy that's going to be fighting for his life in preseason is Ambry Thomas. Just hasn't improved in 3 years. Like, he shows some flashes here. Like today, he made a nice play, but then a couple plays later, got cooked, right? So it's like, it's not consistent enough. And I haven't seen enough like growth from him in the couple years he's been here.
What's up, Small Town Reviews? Going on, brother? Got a little bit of political talk in here. Trump Vance 2024. All right. Yeah. I just find it funny. Politics to me, you can't take it serious. You just have to laugh.
You either like someone or you don't. I don't mix it with sports stuff.
No, I don't either. And religion and politics are two things that I made a mistake of talking about a couple weeks ago, and I live to regret it. So that will never happen again. I want to ask you about the safeties.
Mm-hmm.
We got Hufanga on the mend. We have Jair Brown. We have Mustafa. We have Odom. Technically, the Niners haven't really said one way or the other if they would to bring back what's his name? Oh my God, safety last year. He's suspended the first 6 weeks of the year.
Oh, Deshaun Gibson. We don't know.
Yeah. How are you feeling about safety? Are you as psyched on Mustafa as a lot of people are? Do you think he has the potential to be a great corner in a couple of years?
I think he has potential to be a pretty good safety. He's got range.
Safety, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he could play inside, outside. He's a big guy. He's going to be a good tackler. He's kind of like a hybrid type guy. You could play him in the box, drop him back in coverage a little bit. He moves well for his size. I mean, he's jacked. I don't think he's a starter right out of the way, but he could help, maybe special teamer right now. Hufanga, I'm just hoping that Hufanga could come back and be what he was, because ACL, it's a big injury to come back from. So if Hufanga's where he was before the injury, we're good. You can continue to develop Mustafa. I don't want to throw him into the fire. Jair Brown, man, year 2 is going to be freaking insane. This guy, he's a playmaker. He was all over the field. So I'm happy about Jair. I think he's going to have a good year. Mustafa definitely has a bright future. George Odom was actually very surprising this training camp. He was one of those movers and shakers. He was pretty good in coverage. So I feel like if Hufanga's not there, Odom could kind of hold it down for a little bit. Now, he's not the best coverage guy, but he improved this offseason. Great special teamer. The other guy they have, Taylor Hawkins and Mahoney. I don't think those guys make the roster. They'll probably be practice squad guys. Good depth, but I feel like if Hufanga doesn't come back 100%, we might have an issue. If he comes back 100%, then we're good, because Mustafa will be really good depth, and so will Odom. He's a great special teamer. He can come in a pinch. And you have Jair and Talanoa Hufanga, and that's a great duo. But Hufanga, he is coming back from injury. He's in a contract year. So I'm expecting Hufanga to have a good year as long as he's 100% healthy, and that might price him out next year. So that's why it's really, really important that Mustafa turns into what we all think he can. Because, like you said earlier, this team, there's a window. But you know what? This team is going to be competitive, like you mentioned, because they do have good young players, but they have to develop. Like, you can sit there until you're blue in the face and say, oh, Mustafa, so much potential, so much potential. He has to deliver on the field because we said the same thing about Drake Jackson. We said the same thing about a lot of players, but they don't develop on the field. Then it's just we're blowing smoke up our ass. So it really depends on how they develop. Same thing, Ricky Pearsall. We see how good he is on tape. He's twitchy receiver. Oh, look at the training camp routes he's doing. Stay on the field and prove it. That's it. Bottom line. Every player.
Yeah. What's your feeling on the defensive line? I feel like we're still kind of thin at outside rusher.
Yeah.
Unless Beal can step up.
Yeah. I agree. They need to beef that up. Floyd looks good. Bosa, woo! I'm glad he was at.
I've heard Bosa's been having a really good camp. If they were counting sacks, he would have gotten 3 today. They said.
Yeah, he had 3 sacks today, bro. If they were counting him, every day it doesn't matter who's lined up against. He makes Colton McKivitz look like a trash can. He makes Jalen Moore look like dog water. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Well, they're pretty great,
stuck. But when they go up against Bosa, it's like, oh my God, man. Leonard Floyd, really, really nice in training camp. I like what I've seen out of Yetur Gross-Matos, but he's a tweener. He can set the edge good. I really like what he can do in that sense. I think he's going to be like an Edicom / like a Menahee type guy.
Guys who could set the edge, maybe not as big of a pass rusher.
Yeah.
That was one thing I noticed the Niners when they had, at least last year, they had a hard time setting the edge.
Yeah. I like this guy.
Yeah.
But Robert Beal, you mentioned Robert Beal. I will hope he can become a good depth piece, a rotationary, edge on there. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. This is really his first season. Last year kind of dealt with the hamstring and he came in late. I still think you need another quality edge out there. We talk about it all the time. They need a lot of guys. Austin Bryant's still on the team. He's not that special.
The Niners, one of the things that, again, I had a stream earlier. We talked about like, okay, if you're going to trade Aiyuk, say in a perfect world, what would be something if you can't get a receiver back? What would be a position of like that a team would want to go for? And a lot of people are saying Hightower, the outside rusher from the Steelers, or an offensive lineman, like a legit starter offensive lineman. If that was the way where you're going to go, do you think if you were a GM and you had to make that decision, like there's not a wide receiver that we can grab from another team, but they offered you, or if you had the chance, would you ask for an edge guy or a defensive lineman, another player? Because it seems like sometimes draft compensation for me, it doesn't do anything. Because we need someone who's going to contribute right now.
If we want to win a Super Bowl, we need a guy that's going to help take us over the edge now. Like, I get it. A draft pick would be nice to continue to bolster and give us some talent down the line when some of these guys leave. But right now, if we're trying to go for a Super Bowl, we're all in. We need a guy that can step in right away and get us a premium edge rusher, like just nasty guy on the D-line. It wouldn't be a bad idea. I think it'd be great. O-line, definitely. We can always use a good offensive lineman. That's why, when the Patriots were in the mix in the trade, I know it was probably a pipe dream, and although they're out now, I was hoping it could be Matt Judon from the Patriots. Like, that's the guy. I was like, can you imagine if we get Judon off the edge, Bosa, Floyd, Judon would have been insanity. But I don't think they would have gave him up. But they were, crazier things have happened. But that's kind of what I thought too. If they couldn't get a quality receiver, maybe you get a quality edge or something. But it's tough. I do like our D-line. I think it's improved in terms of interior depth. Jordan Elliott looks good. Malik Collins, I think, is going to be good. And they're healthy. Those guys aren't going to miss the season, knock on wood. So far, from what I understand, they don't have any plantar fasciitis, Aaron. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I want $17 million a year, but I'm already hurt. And I'm going to go pout on a podcast. It's like, dude, whatever.
And then I'm going to go film a TikTok of me eating Burger King.
Did he? He filmed. He had.
No, this all he does. He goes and he's like a food content creator, and then he has his podcast.
He does look a little soft, so that explains a lot.
Crazy. It's crazy.
That's crazy. What's your talk? What's your feeling preseason game 1? Are you even watching?
I'll watch it. I'm gonna watch. Of course, I'm
gonna find a way to watch it too.
Gotta watch
even
it.
Though there's,
you gotta watch.
You have
to
boy. Watch it.
Yeah, I'm excited because we got football, but am I excited to watch Josh Dobbs, Brandon Allen, and Tanner Mordecai? I couldn't tell you that.
For me, I just watch guys that want to see development. You know what I mean?
That's what it's about. I'm excited to see the guys like Robert Beal, like we mentioned,
Exactly.
guys like that.
D
Winners. I want to see Renardo Green go out there. And
Jalen Graham on the 49ers still?
Jalen Graham, yeah, he had a pretty good camp. Cody Schrader, that's another guy.
Cody Schrader.
The guys that I saw in training camp that I was like, I like this. I like, ting, tang, walla walla, bing bang.
Bing bang. Yeah, there we go.
I want to see those guys. I'm not worried about Brandon Allen and all that stuff, but
who was I watching the other day? They're like, if I had to make a depth chart right now, they would have Brandon Allen number 2.
I said that.
Was it you? It might have been you. I might have been watching you.
That today. I said honestly, right now, Brandon Allen, to me, he's QB2.
No, because he knows the system.
Yeah, he knows the system, and he's been a little bit more consistent. Like Dobbs has had some moments, but some moments is not good enough. I feel like to be QB2. I know they're paying him money, but the same thing was Studfeld a couple years ago. He got a big money, but he wasn't good enough. So I think he'll be on the team. Josh Dobbs will be QB3. But if he has a good preseason, then yeah, maybe he can bounce up to QB2 and push towards it. But Brandon Allen knows the system. He knows the team. Year 2 for him. I think right now he's slated at QB2. What I saw, there was times where I was like, "Woo, what a pass, Brandon Allen." So I mean, I think he's QB2 right now.
It's kind of nice to be in this part of the preseason and not be talking about quarterbacks.
I know, it's just crazy. You know what we're talking about? Wide receivers.
And we're talking about wide receivers, the diva position. Hey, I always tell people it's better to. I was at work. People were asking, "What do you think about the Brandon Aiyuk situation?" I said, "Listen, man, it sucks that he might have to leave or whatever. It's good to have a team that people talk about that are actually good, and then a shit team with no talent. And you're like, the fact that we're having a discussion about Brandon Aiyuk when we already have Kittle, we already have CMC, we already have Debo, and possibly Pearsall if he can stay, healthy." Like those are cool conversations instead of being like, "Oh, my team's only going to go 3-14 this year."
Like a Panthers fan, like a Carolina Panther, bro.
Think about that. The draft is their Super Bowl. Remember when we us Niners fans? Like to me, I miss the draft being what it was for us, but that's the sacrifice if you want to be good.
I don't miss it. I'm glad that we're a great team.
People are like, "Oh, all the good players will be gone by the time we pick." It's like, do you want a good team? You want to compete for a championship every year? Or do you want to be out of it by early November and be thinking about the draft and free agency? Like, that's lame as hell, dude.
Yeah, I remember a couple years, a few years back when I'm sitting here and I'm posting about draft position. We're in like week 7. Oh, 49ers are leading.
That's all we were talking about.
Number 1 draft pick. Oh, my God. If they lose next week, then they're number 1 draft. I'm like, yeah, why are we worried? I'm so glad we're not worried about that because now we're worried about, if the 49ers win next week, they're the number 1 seed, not the number 1 seed in the draft in the NFL, in the NFC playoffs. Like, I'm more worried about being the number 1 seed in the playoffs than the number 1 seed in draft order. That's where my head's at. And it's very, very nice to be in that position. But it doesn't last forever. But I think the 49ers can be a competitive team for years to come. But a lot of it has to do with these next couple of years in terms of the contracts. And that's why I think the Brandon Aiyuk situation is so big, so polarizing, because his contract is going to directly impact the next 3-4 years.
Think there's a chance they bring him back?
I think there is a chance. I definitely do. Again, it really depends on if somebody on those two sides starts coming towards the middle. Nobody has yet. They're standing on business on their side. I think there's a chance. It's maybe not as big of a chance as he gets traded because, again, that's what everybody's saying. There's more likely of a chance for him to get traded. But I still think there is a chance for this to be salvaged. I feel like the first few weeks might be a little weird, but once he's on the field and they do fix it and he starts producing, we're going to forget all about it. The first time that he's on the field and Brock Purdy dots him up for a touchdown, we're all going to forget, Aaron. We're all going to be like, oh, champion.
Jimmy, the chat here, he says, why is this team so stubborn in doing contracts so late in training camp and not changing the way we do things? I was talking about that in my earlier stream. Yeah. I don't understand this mindset of like waiting. Listen, what way you've been doing things hasn't worked because we still haven't won a chip. So change it up a little bit. Do your contracts in March, okay? in April. It is aggravating.
It's tough. They let it linger.
Why? The longer you let
it.
it linger, the worse it is for you because other people are getting paid. Get ahead of it.
I know.
I don't understand that. They're so that's the one thing about this front office that I don't like. They have this like really laissez-faire mindset, okay? Like you haven't won the chip still. You're good, you're really good. You're in it every year, but like don't get comfortable, especially the way that they draft sometimes, how they just throw away third round picks.
Like it's you go and get Isaac Arendo, which maybe he'll be good. I don't know, but guess what? Seems like he's going to be a red shirt this year. You got Cameron Latu. You didn't need to get Cam Latu in the third round. I don't know.
Anything else going on with you this week?
That's about it.
I was going to stream at you this week because you said about 2 weeks. So I hit you up and you were like, "Yeah, let's do this."
Let's do it. Yeah, no, nothing else going crazy this week. Just wrapped up training camp today. Get back to a normal routine ish tomorrow with work and everything. We'll see. I got my new gig. We'll see how it goes. I'm not
sure.
Where
are you staying right now? Are you at a hotel?
No, it's my house.
Is your house? Oh, okay.
But I moved because I have a desk now because I'm gonna be working remote. So I got a desk with all these monitors and all my setup. So
that's awesome. How is it like working at home?
We're gonna find out tomorrow. We're gonna
find out. I'm actually in the process of trying to look for a product tester job to get some part-time money off of.
Nice.
I went for it and I still haven't got a feedback from ZipRecruiter. So hopefully they hit me up soon.
Hopefully you get it, man. Hopefully you get it.
We'll be back. Me and you are going to be back in the regular season pretty much every week.
Yeah, we'll do it again. We'll do what we were doing last
We got to figure out what day works. I think Thursday last year was our day. So
yeah, give me a few weeks to kind of figure out. Like I said, I'm going to start this new kind of role in about a week or so. I kind of know my availability, so I can let you know.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to football. I don't like this part of the off season the last couple of years because I think the last 3 or 4 seasons it's been a contract nightmare every year. So
no, I mean for me, I kind of do enjoy the off season because I get a little break. I get some time I don't have to worry about social media and stuff.
Yeah,
it's nice. But now we back to the girl. We are in contact mode. I was with Rohan.
I'm just glad you're not one of those people that throws their name into the hat of I have sources. I'm gonna spit this stuff out online, and then look like a dumbass because it wasn't true, and then get combative with people that go at you because you put false information out there. Like, I'm glad you're not that guy.
Oh, hold up.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I thought maybe some breaking information was about to happen because you were like, hold up.
No, I think I'm about to die out here. But no, I mean, I do have sources, but I don't go out there and parade them and gallivant them because I like my sources. I want them to.
Oh, I think we lost him, people. I think we lost him. Oh boy. Let's see if he comes back. Let's see if he comes back. Give it a second, folks. If not, we'll end it here. Oopsie. All right, everybody. Everybody have a great rest of your evening. Everybody take care. Hopefully we get some resolution to this Brandon Aiyuk news soon. And one way or the other, and we can start worrying about football in September. So everyone have a good Wednesday night, and I will talk to you guys on the other side. Take care, everyone.